you're all set.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of Pownell Parks and Rec on Tuesday, December 10th. I am going to call the meeting to order, and I'll ask Hannah, is there any public comment?
It's not.
All right. So with that, our next agenda item is approval of the agenda, but I would like to amend the agenda for something that just came in yesterday, and I'd like to add that under new business. And that is the collaborative grant, which is due January 8th. So with that amendment, I would ask if anyone would make a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, the next item is the approval of November meeting minutes, and those were distributed a little earlier today. So if you haven't had a chance to review them, we'll take a minute for that. Are there any updates or changes that need to be made to the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Seth, did you mention that there's a
Well, in the approval of the October minutes, it said motion carried 4-0-0. And I just wanted to point out that since I wasn't here for the October meeting, I didn't vote on those minutes.
Okay.
So it would be 3-0-0.
so 300?
Yeah.
So as amended, Brian, did you want to make a motion as amended?
I'll make a motion as amended.
Second?
I'll
Anyone?
second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you so much. The next agenda item is old business, and the first item is grant under old business, and we'll start with the municipal planning grant. There really hasn't been any activity since our last meeting when, right before our last meeting, BCRC presented its initial findings to the Planning Commission. So the next and final item for the municipal planning grant is the final report from BCRC, a final written report. And so that hasn't been received yet. Once it's received, I think we'll make that its own agenda item and have an action plan based on the findings in that report.
Is the final report just expected to be what they presented?
I don't, I think because that was a presentation, I think most of the contents of the presentation will be in the report, but I think it may be more comprehensive than what was presented.
Okay.
So, and they typically do a very thorough job on their report. So I'm expecting it to have maybe more data supporting their findings in that. That's what I'm anticipating, but that is due this month.
This month, okay.
This month, so it just hasn't arrived
Sounds
yet.
good.
Okay, with respect to the VOREC grant, in terms of implementation updates, Nate, did you have anything that you'd like to update on that?
Not really, no. I mean, I had a couple of good meetings with one with Michael Fernandez, and I got some suggestions from Tessa McGann too for the sort of conservation goals. So we're just kind of slowly chipping away at that. That's kind of it on my end.
Okay. We did not have a steering committee meeting this month. Williams College students are finalizing their presentation, and they're presenting to the select board this Thursday with their results. So as Seth mentioned, there's a Zoom link, and think that's on Facebook as well, in case you don't want to go on by Zoom, or if that's easier for Facebook. I think they broadcast that way, but in any event, if you miss it, it's on YouTube. They post all of the meetings on YouTube, so you can always catch up on it after that. So I think that's a key element for us, because we'll base our action plan and next steps on the findings and with the data that they collected and that they present. I did visit a meeting last week where they gave a draft presentation to the environmental studies program at Williams, and they were looking for feedback on their presentation. So that was well received. And I met a young woman named Maria, and I don't dare pronounce her last name because it sounds Russian or Eastern European, and I apologize. None of those are right, but it's, and she works for the UVM extension program in Bennington. And she expressed a willingness to lend her expertise to our project. So I think she will be a great connection to have in moving forward with the management plan. So she did reach out to Tara, and I, with her contact information. So I'll be sure to, we can chat about that as we go through the management plan and see how we can involve her in that moving forward. But it sounds like she has a lot of expertise to offer, and she's in Bennington. So that would be a great resource.
So are we expecting a written report from the Williams College effort as well, or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it may come in the form of a presentation, but I'm not exactly sure. Do you know, Nate, if it's a written report?
Usually both.
I think there's both.
Okay. Yeah. I saw, just a draft presentation, their run through their practice of it. So I think it's just like BCRC. I think theirs is going to be very comprehensive as well. So with that, the next item is review and finalize the Parks and Rec goals that I distributed at the last meeting. And I apologize, someone made a suggested edit to these goals and I missed capturing it. And I can't remember what it was. So if you were able to remind me, or if anyone has any other suggestions for recreation goals.
I had a couple of suggestions that I just sort of brainstormed over the course of the last couple of days. And yeah, maybe this isn't exactly the right spot to put them, or maybe it is, but one was just mentioning that we want to sort of identify a suitable point along the Taconic Crest Trail to connect to. I know that's kind of one of the big priorities. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I felt like maybe Parks and Rec could help support the Fish and Game Club in trying to kind of expand membership, increase usage of the camp, help them host community event, just sort of use them as a conduit to kind of get some community engagement and youth engagement going. So yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about sort of working with them in general, whether or not that's our place, but that was another thought I had. I can send these to you in an email or something.
Sure.
What else did I have in here? Oh, I don't know, maybe just putting something in there just to mention, just to sort of say that part of what we're doing is really trying to make sure that this thing is sort of set up to be viable in the long haul so that like future generations can enjoy it. I mean, I know that's implied in a lot of what we said, but I just felt like maybe it was important just to sort of expand a little bit on the idea of making sure that whatever we do here has sort of longevity. And sort of to that end, and again, I don't know if this would go in here or not, like maybe say, sort of discussing kind of some sort of plan for fundraising that we can help put in place to help sort of support this stuff moving forward, and just kind of some really basic ideas of like sort of partners that we might be able to have on that, potential sources for grants. And, we don't necessarily need to go much further than that, but just sort of identifying some sort of plan to make sure that this project has sort of continued funding after this first round.
Okay. I think that might be better suited to go under stewardship.
Sure.
Instead of the goals, but I think what you identified that, there definitely needs to be a plan for future viability.
Mhm.
And stewardship comes in many forms, right? The maintenance of the property and the fundraising and that. That's just my thought on that. But I do agree with mentioning the Taconic Crest Trail connection because that was a primary goal in our VORAC application was that connection to that trail. And it's mentioned in the grant agreement as well. So I can try to incorporate some of that into here. And does the Fishing Game Club want our help? That's my only other.
My impression is that they would like some help. I don't know exactly the best way to deliver that or the best sort of person to deliver that, but
Okay.
yeah, oh God, I'll have to look back at my notes. The guy who runs it, I think his name is Mark. It seems like a really reasonable guy, and I think they realize that this is a great opportunity for them, but also that it's going to be a lot of work for them. So I think certainly it wouldn't hurt to reach out to them and just say, hey, if you want some support, like maybe we can help you, and see what they say.
Okay.
At the very least, they're maybe considered like a co-constituent of the property, right? I mean, they're one of the main users of the
Stakeholder,
property
yeah.
today. So at least acknowledging that we're going to not do something contrary to, maybe not necessarily in this to say that will help them increase membership, but something that recognizes that there are, currently the main users of the property, like one of the main users of the property today. And we're not looking to disrupt that, basically.
Yeah, I think anything we can do to kind of mention and boost them in this document, just to show them that they are heard and we want them to participate, I think will go a long way.
Okay.
Yeah, even if it is not like, supporting membership, but just sort of support the Fish and Game Club in sort of expanding their reach in the community, or something kind of generic might be enough.
Right.
Okay. Right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So were there stipulations in the funding source that the non-motorized was a condition of the property? I wasn't sure if there were questions in the survey or at the visioning workshop that were around ATV or other uses. And I know, having worked in Massachusetts, it's a contentious thing, but
Yeah.
there's also a dearth of places for people to go and use those types of vehicles. And so,
Yeah. Well, the conservation easement on the original property, which was the original 700 acres, I think back in 2002, does stipulate that ATVs are restricted and limited to the Fish and Game Club, that trail to the Fish and Game Club and back. And there was also, I think, I'm sorry, I don't have the document with me, but I think there's also a condition for there to be a scenic overlook for people with disabilities. So there could be an ATV to that location that we designate. I think, Nate, correct me if I'm wrong, are those the two stipulations?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead.
I'm sorry, just to expand on that, Seth, if you're interested, I had a good talk with this guy, Nate Rowe, who is sort of a good kind of central figure in the sort of Pownell ATV crew. And he's very interested in sitting down and meeting with some folks at the town just to kind of talk about how we might be able to help them find good access and places to ride sort of elsewhere outside of the town forest. So if that's something that you're interested in, they're definitely sort of interested in Prime to kind of engage with us. And I'm really out of my depth on that stuff. Like I don't really have any background in it at all. So if you're interested in helping, I'd love to pull you in on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly willing to talk with you about it. And my only concern is I feel like there's kind of a group of users that do use it for that. And if they're going to be feeling displaced by this, making them feel like they're
To be honest, they've maintained it.
Right.
They
Yeah.
basically maintained the trails for us over these years
Yeah.
by using it. So,
Yeah.
The answer is definitely yes. And I mean, that's sort of at the center of what Nate was really upset about was like, I've ridden on these trails my entire life.
Yeah.
We've maintained them all. And now you're telling us we can't ride there anymore.
Right.
And he honestly, I think he was pretty receptive to me just saying, look, man, I hear you and that sucks. And unfortunately, like the ship has kind of sailed on that for this property. And like that was a decision made by the select board that we don't really have any control over. And so like, given that that's the current situation, kind of what can we do to work with you elsewhere? And that's kind of the best we can offer them for better or worse.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's legally binding within the conservation easements that it precludes motorized recreation.
Except for those two.
Except for those very, very, very two.
Well, I mean, maybe that will placate their desire for accessing the property, if you can have it be a nice thing for them to use, and maybe there's a nice overlook and people.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think the land trust said that Pownell is the only community where it's allowed at all. All of the other conservation easements preclude any motorized recreation. We're the only one. So yeah, but that's a very valid point that you brought up.
Are they the ones that hold the conservation restriction? So I know in Massachusetts, the land trust holds the conservation restriction.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they do.
And luckily the hunters are kind of very much on the same page with us that they want ATV access to the Fish and Game Club, but they do not want recreational ATV use on the land because it's disruptive to the animals and it scares them off. So yeah, I think luckily we and they are sort of united there that it just, I think for a variety of reasons, doesn't make sense to sort of do recreational riding on that property, even sort of outside of the legal stuff.
I think it would be great if we were able to find a place where recreational ATV use were allowed in Pownell. I don't know any other town properties per se, because there's very limited, but
I know of two. One of them we don't have access to. The other one is there's this big field. I think it's kind of by the dump down at the end of Pitt Road. Have you been down there? That's where they have that big sand pile that you can sort of shovel sand for yourself in the winter. So I don't know the details, but Bill told me about this. There's a big grassy field back there that the town owns that they don't use for anything. So that could be a potential candidate. I mean, I don't know what kind of environmental concerns there would be there, but yeah, that might be a lead worth at least looking into a little bit.
well, maybe if you're able to meet with Nate Rowe, you would be, he might have some suggestions.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I know they love Brown's Field up on Old Military Road, and I have heard that woman is maybe interested in selling and sort of has a soft spot for conservation, etc. So there might be some deal to make there too.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else on the VORAC grant or the goals? We good?
No.
The next agenda item is the holiday tree lighting. So I wanted to circle back and get feedback from those who were there. If you have any feedback on the event or anything we could improve on or
Lights look good.
observations.
Well, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it did seem like we had less people show up this year than
Yeah.
last year, but there's probably other things going
I
on.
think there's other competing events
Yeah.
taking place. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
a very minor thing, but when the choir was singing, it would have been nice to have had the lit tree behind them. I saw people taking pictures of the choir.
Yeah.
And it might be nice to change the order so that the tree lighting is the first thing, even if it's not fully dark.
Yeah,
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 And, you know,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's a good suggestion. I guess with that, I was going to ask, because we are responsible for the lights, if some of the lights have been used for 5 years and like 1 or 2 strings I bought last year or the year before. But I wanted to see or get permission if they go on sale, after, if I could pick some up on clearance so we could have them for next year in anticipation of
Yeah, that's a good idea.
that. So, I was hoping someone would make.
I'll make a motion that we purchase some Christmas lights on clearance at the after Christmas time period for next year's replacement lights.
Great.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any more discussion? No? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I,
You. The next agenda item is the Western New England Greenway. We have Nate for that.
yeah, so as always, I never get quite as far as I'm hoping, but I do have I have a great outline started. I've been collaborating with Susan Grasso, who offered to kind of help in sort of putting together a good kind of convincing argument and a plan for where ideally we would want some signage. So yeah, good progress. And yeah, hopefully by the next meeting, I'll have something that I can show to you folks before I've never like actually made a recommendation to the select board. I assume you guys have at some point. I don't know exactly how that process goes, but yeah, I'd love to get a little guidance on that at some point from somebody.
Sure. I can help you with that, Nate. And normally it's in the form of a letter.
Oh,
this-
really? Okay, so I can't actually go and kind of plead the case in person.
Oh, you can, you're welcome to do that. You're welcome
Oh,
to do
okay.
that. Yeah. We can be added to the agenda at a
Cool.
meeting. You can do that for sure.
Okay, I'll think on that. I just want to make sure that whatever I do is sort of comes in the most convincing form possible. So I'll do some thinking about that. But yeah, excellent progress, and I'll make sure to loop you guys in once we have something that kind of vaguely looks like a recommendation letter.
All right. I'll keep this on the agenda for next month as well. Okay, moving to new business. The first item is the Stewart's Holiday Match Grant. So that is a grant opportunity through Stewart's that happens annually, and typically we're awarded about $1,500 every year through that. Last year, we asked for a picnic table and trash receptacle for the Hoosick Bend Trail, but that kind of fell off the radar. So we never actually spent the money
Okay.
for that. There was some, I would say, as we approached the middle of the year, there was some concern at the trail because some erosion was seen at the bend. Do you remember that, Nate? And we initially started to move forward with it, but we stopped.
Yeah.
And honestly, it just slipped my mind. So I just wanted to mention that we do have $1,500 to spend from last year's grant that was awarded in January. But this topic is for the new grant cycle. And just for a little bit of background, Seth and Nate, because I know you both haven't been a part of this. So typically looking for like family or like family or kids oriented type things. So I think we did the ice skating rink one year with those monies. And I think the Strobridge area, we bought a picnic table and a trash receptacle with the monies. I'm trying to think what else we did. We may have added the barbecue pit
I think we did, yeah.
at the Center Street Park and the sales shade with that money. Perhaps, maybe it's getting fuzzy now because it's so many years ago, but it's kind of things that I would say are youth and family oriented. So for this process, we need to identify what we'd like to ask for, and then we also need to seek select board approval for that. The application isn't due until later in January, so we have time to think about that. And I can put it on January's agenda unless anyone has any ideas they want to throw out. No,
Are there requirements that the last year's money be spent in a certain timeline or?
no, actually, there aren't any. They don't ask for any follow-up reporting on it or anything.
I had a couple of just brainstorming ideas. One was expanding on that climbing wall structure over at the Center Street Park. Or maybe like some sort of play structure, a little jungle gym or like a slide or something like that, like the beginnings of what could be like a playground for kids in that little Center Street area.
Mhm.
The only other one, which isn't as much youth oriented, was like some sort of like information kiosk or like a bulletin board where we could, have like events posted and things like that at the Center Street Park.
We do have a small one attached to the side of the shed.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Okay, so yeah, maybe we don't need that then.
I know last meeting, there was discussion around a bike maintenance station.
Oh,
Mike.
yeah.
It might go a ways to doing a project like that as well.
Yeah.
And I know there's one of those in Williamstown at the store at Five Corners. The
So-
park across the street from the store at Five Corners, there's like a
It's like
tool caddy.
a standalone.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's got like a thing that you can put your bike on, and then tools, kind of like at the ski
Cool.
area where there's tools that are locked,
Yeah,
but you can use them. So
that's a great idea too.
Yeah, great idea.
Would you be able to look and see how much those cost?
sure.
And if you chat about it at our January meeting.
One other idea to throw out there.
Yeah.
I know I saw there's one frisbee golf,
One disc golf. Me and my husband like disc golf, so I
disc golf.
bought a disc golf basket for down there.
Yeah,
I love disc golf.
Yeah, I wonder if we could like expand the disc golf into like just like a couple of spots along the park there or something like that, 3
Yeah.
holes or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I do agree, whether it's whether it's one of the things we asked for the grant or not, but I do agree with Nate that some sort of when you think about the skate park and a family, that the little bit older kids are gonna be skating, and then if they got younger kids, there's nothing for them to do really, right? So
yeah.
I know we've kind of held off on putting anything like that over there because of the planning grant. But now, once we get that, I do think we should look to move forward with, getting something for the younger kids.
I agree with that. Okay, these are all great ideas.
There was an interesting play structure at the Audubon, in Lenox, trying to remember what it's called. Anyway, it's like a nature-based play structure. It's like made out of sticks, big sticks that are kind of built into kind of, you think of those kind of octagonal like climbing structures.
Yeah.
Might be fun to have some kind of natural playground feature, maybe somebody local could build it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a builder. An anonymous
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 volunteer.
builder.
Do we have an anonymous? Is that your husband? Where's the disc golf basket?
It's it's in the shed.
Okay.
We take it out and we'll like practice on it, and we see it taken out, and we have some discs.
And do you have a pin that it goes in, or is it just?
It's a portable.
It's a self-supporting.
It's a self-supporting portable disc golf
Okay.
goal or whatever it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They have some of those at Mount Greylock.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, I mean, they're in the midst of doing that big renovation on their,
Yeah, it's gone, the disc golf, right?
well, they're still in the woods. I mean, they've got those, again, portable
Yeah,
baskets that,
okay. All right. Good ideas, all good ideas. Okay, what's the next item? The select board meeting. I apologize because I forgot my iPad with the information on it. But the select board asked to meet with chairpersons of each of the town's committees. I don't know who they're starting with, but they're asked me to attend on January 23rd, which I'm happy to do. And they kind of want to learn about our goals and our vision for the committee, which I think I've shared in the past. But for our January meeting, which will be before the 23rd, I'll just present to you what I'm planning to say in summary to the select board. I think what we've talked about previously is that with the VORAC grant and the implementation of, or I guess the beginning of the town forest and the trails and that, we're really just we've been focusing on implementing that and not taking on new projects. And I would imagine we'd probably be in that same position in 2025, at least until we can check the box on the VORAC grant at least and have that completed. But I'll put together a little more on that for our next meeting. The next item is fiscal year 26 budget. And I provided to you a summary, just to give a little background. So Parks and Rec is allocated monies from the general fund. And so it's been $5,000 for fiscal year 23, 24, and 25. And we have managed to spend those monies in prior years, and we're about $1,000 into it for fiscal year 25, which ends June 30th, 2025. So Tara reached out and asked for some input on that budget for 26. And given that we don't have any specific plans, she was going to use the same amount for fiscal year 26, which I think she's working to prepare that to present it to the select board for approval. So I thought I would bring it up here and ask if anyone has any input or feedback on the amount, the $5,000 amount.
I assume that there will need to be, we'll have porta potties at the new, once we have the,
We haven't talked about that yet.
yeah.
I would assume, but I don't want to assume, at the town forest.
Yeah, town forest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
in terms of, you mentioned trash receptacles at a couple spots. Is that the highway department that monitors those and?
It was what was formerly Bill Cottrell's position. I don't know exactly what that position is called, so I don't know if the replacement for that is. So one is at Strobridge Park and the other one is at Center Street Park. So there are two of them.
I just know that oftentimes when there's no one responsible, and then you give it to someone, it becomes kind of a bone of contention. So it might be, worth putting a line item of, disposal of trash on a regular basis, and that way.
Yeah, I don't know how we would manage that. Hannah, who takes care of that here?
The trash.
Yeah,
Bill was taking care of it now. Our cleaning person will be, but highway department could fix it up for us, or
Okay.
transfer station could fix it up for us, so. I don't know if highway would be willing to do it or not.
Okay.
I can talk to Tara about it, maybe we could brainstorm tomorrow a little bit.
okay. Yeah, it's something we probably shouldn't let go and
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind, so. But yeah, That's a good thought. The other thing before I forget, I wanted to mention is that this is the general fund and Parks and Rec does have a separate account with monies that have been donated or grant funds. So for example, the Stewart's monies are in the other fund.
It's like a revolving fund.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't, there's no specific use for it except one, there is like $500 of the monies is earmarked because the donor earmarked it for the pollinator garden. So I just keep it separate for that. But so I think I don't have the update on that, but I think there's like $5,000 to $6,000 in that account. And that's where the Stewart's monies we need to spend reside, that $1,500 that we got last year. That's where it resides. Before I was thinking about this, we didn't really bring it up, but we used to have the ice rink and I totally slipped my mind this year. It used to be located down at Pownell Youth Sports Field on Route 346. And so we used to keep the portable restroom there all year, or not all year, but through the winter and then through the summer it's at Center Street Park. But
That's why the 2023s.
so high,
Higher, yeah.
yeah, because it was for the full year that we had it. So other than that is generally we've made a couple of purchases of picnic tables and things of that nature. And we bought the tree last year, the holiday tree.
Is the liner and the boards, are they stored down there?
They are stored in the shed, but I think we need a new liner.
It's usually not very inexpensive. I think they're.
Oh, they're a couple $100s.
Is that it?
Yeah, they weren't too much money. It was more the manpower to set up and to maintain.
Mhm.
Keep it shoveled and all that.
Keep it, yeah, it definitely needs maintenance almost on a daily basis.
And does the fire department come down and fill it up, or how do you get
They
water?
they have come down and fill it up. The year that we had it, we didn't have it last year, but we had it the year before and it was very warm.
Mhm.
So I would say it was only used a handful of times at most, that it was actually usable ice. The first year we had it at Center Street Park. And then it got moved.
That was a cold year. It seemed like we got more
That-
use that year, yeah.
Yeah, that was a very cold year.
Yeah.
And then we got moved down to Pownell Youth Sports. So, yeah, Ryan isn't here, but he has handled that in the past. He managed it, but I think that's the difficulty is, having
Yeah,
it.
like the first year, Peter lived right across the street, so he maintained it quite a bit.
Yeah,
And then the 2 years ago, like I said, the youth group, they kind of owned it as far as maintaining it.
yeah, yeah,
So it comes down to, if we put it up, somebody's got to maintain it, keep it shoveled and all that.
yeah. So, all right. I don't think it's going to happen this year, though. Seeing as we're already in December on that. But getting back to the budget, is there any question about that, or does anybody have a strong feeling their way, just keeping with the 5,000?
Yeah, I don't know that we got thing to lay out to ask for more right now, right? Once we have the forest entrance and the forest park up and running, that maybe there's some things running over there.
Yeah,
Garbage cans and stuff, but
I think that might be part of the grant. We may have monies for that in the grant itself. This should be more, generally speaking, should be more like for other items, but, anyway. Nate, do you have anything on that, or you're good?
I've got some ideas on what we could spend it on, but in terms of the amount of money, it's awesome. Like coming from the Conservation Commission, which hasn't even talked about fundraising, the fact that you guys have a little bit of money at your disposal is amazing. So yeah, if they're willing to give you $5,000, that's great.
Yeah. Try to use it, wisely.
Yeah.
All right, so the last item which I added is the collaborative grant. And so that is a drug use prevention grant managed by a group called the Collaborative. And we applied for and received funding a couple of years ago, and that's how we did the skate park improvements.
Yep. Remember that.
So I just received it yesterday and the grant application is due on January 8th. I don't have anything that I can specifically think of. The grant is, I don't want to say it's intensive, but it does require monthly meetings with the grantor. And there is a definitive timeline, like you can't spend money before a certain date and you can't spend money after a certain date, which is like July 15th or some date like that. So it is really definitive. I also forwarded the application to Pownell Youth Sports and I sent it to the library because those are other Pownell organizations that may not know about the grant and may have a project that may be suitable. And I know that they're looking for sort of like out of the box projects. So
We got what, 10,000, right, for the
we
skate
got
park?
$10,000. The
Yeah.
cap now is 8,000.
8,000?
Yeah.
What
So
about the playground for here?
I think we could, I don't know, honestly, I don't know how much a playground costs. Like I don't know what the scope of playground costs are,
Mhm.
but that's definitely a possibility. I would not be able to manage the grant this time if we apply for it. So we'd have to have someone else be willing to do the monthly meetings and which I know Nate has been very interested in grant writing.
Yeah. I would be more than happy to give this one a shot. I would love to try it. Yep.
I mean, I know Pownell Youth Sports uses the Route 346 property. It is the town's property. And I did send them the application, but I didn't know if there may be a way also to partner with them
Mhm.
For something over there?
for something. I'm not sure of the arrangement. I know it's the town's property, but they seem to maintain it and use it pretty exclusively in for their youth sports program.
Did they ever, do you know if they ever did, Brian mentioned one time about new dugouts over there. Do you know if they ever?
I know we gave them some money last year to repair the dugouts. But anyway, I'd be willing, I think Colby is the president there. I did send it to them, so that may be something they're interested in applying to on their own. But that's always an opportunity too. And again, it's a drug use prevention grant, so it's, try to encourage healthy behaviors and activities and, that the idea of a third place, a place that you like to go that's safe. So I guess outdoor sports certainly fits into that, like the skate park fit into that.
Yeah, and our playground, we're thinking is still gonna be more geared towards the younger, hopefully pre-drug years, right?
Yeah.
So,
Not to sound like a broken record, but I think that climbing wall is a really awesome thing, and that's
Yeah.
a sort of very large kind of growing sport amongst youth, and a great sort of good, clean, fun way to kill time after school. So yeah, that's something I could get very passionate about for sure.
yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, why don't you take a look at enhancements and do you know Cliff who constructed that?
I spoke with him a little bit. I know
Okay.
Justine tangentially, so I'm sure I can get a hold of him.
Yeah. Otherwise, I can put you in touch with him.
Yeah, if you got his contact info, send it along. Maybe I'll sit down with him. That'd be great.
I just wanted to say, we don't have to apply for this. It's not something that's mandatory. If we have an idea and come to consensus, we do have to seek select board approval on it. So before the application date, which is January 8th.
January 8th is the date for the application deadline?
Application deadline, yeah, so, I'll have to look and see when I know the select board meeting is this week. And I assume there'll be one more before Christmas, but I don't know when the first one of the new year is, because January 1st is on a Wednesday.
We have the one this week, we have a special, it's warned as a special because it's not the regular meeting
Okay.
on the 19th. And
Okay,
then our first in January is January 9th.
oh, so it's after the select board meeting, so we would, by the 19th, then have to seek select board approval. I don't know if we have time for that without a project in hand.
I'm sure they'll be having a lot of special budget meetings though. There
Oh,
might
okay.
be an opportunity to just bring it to one of those meetings.
Okay, thank you, Hannah, I didn't realize that. All right, so I'm just being cognizant of time because we have a meeting following our meeting. We need
That
to.
meeting actually got canceled, for what it's worth.
That's so funny. Okay. I'm just getting my phone out to look at a date for our next meeting. So we are. So the first Tuesday is the 7th and the second Tuesday is the 14th. Does anyone have a preference on? Oh, wait a minute, that's 2024.
No, you had it right.
Oh, I had it right. Oh, okay, I said
Yeah.
2024.
The 14th would work better for me. I think I have another meeting on the 7th that I'll probably
Okay.
be responsible for.
I've got the normal Conservation Commission meeting that Tuesday at 7, so I could do the same time as we're doing now.
Okay, 1:14 at 6 PM.
Sounds good.
And if we need to, would you be open to having a special meeting in the interim to talk about a grant? If we wanted to do the
Yeah.
application?
Mhm.
Okay, but our regular meeting would be January 14th at 6 PM. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else? I think we're good. I can ask for Hannah if there's any public comment.
Nobody's been right now.
Okay,
Can I have just a clarification?
sure.
On the budget that you sent out, so
Mhm.
last year, there was a 500 for Poway Youth Sports that
Mhm.
wasn't there in 23 and didn't get, or is that will move forward? Is that for like uniforms
Well,
or?
that was a repair to their facilities.
Okay, that was the dugout repair.
That was the dugout repair. Yeah.
Um,
So this is just what we've spent so far this year. We don't actually budget it by category. I was just trying to
oh, okay.
put it in the category
Yep.
that it was spent to give you an idea of what we've spent money on in the past.
Do they have their own budget or is it,
They are not part of the town.
okay,
They are their own individual separate
nonprofit?
entity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we ever help them with any sponsorship, uniforms,
They normally,
coaching?
they have a ballot article
Mhm.
where I don't know how much it is, but typically annually they have a ballot article. I think this was just a special, when we did help them this year, it was just a special thing to fix them some dugouts.
And it's Cal Ripken baseball? Is that?
I think it's Cal Ripken
I
baseball.
think so. I'm not sure. I'm not positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there are not there's no football,
There's soccer.
there's soccer.
There's soccer that they offer as well. I don't know if it's in the spring or not.
It's done in spring and fall, sometimes they alternate, it depends how many kids
Okay.
they're interested in.
Okay, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Mhm.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Hi,
Bye, Nate. Thanks for joining
Guys.
us.
take care. Good seeing you.
Nate, when you get back to the area, if, you know, in the new year, I'm happy to go out and help you collect trail cams or whatever. If you wanna figure out.
That'd be
how to-
great. Sounds like a plan.
Okay, yeah, I'll be gone until the new year, but then.
Okay, cool. All right, yeah, we'll reconnect in January.
Okay,
Great.
great. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right.